Hello guys, I'm gonna describe question 1 first, okay? Now in question 1, he wants you to describe the translation between A, how did the shape A become B, okay? We're gonna start with this one. Look at the grid here. How did the shape A become B? What happened here? We can't say it's a reflection because he said translation. He told you to describe the translation itself. Don't say, oh, it reflected. No, 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 you can't say that because he wants you to describe the translation by itself, okay? Now, as you can see, when you describe the translation of shapes, you have to describe what happened to this shape. How did it go from here to here? So when you describe, you talk about a certain point. For example, this point, how did it come here? Okay. Now, as you can see, this point moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 up. You see that? It moved 5 like that and 1 up. So 5 to this side and then 1 up. Okay? Now, how do we describe this? We have to understand this movement. First, the 5 that we moved on the x-axis. We moved on the x-axis like this. So when you move on the x-axis, it means that you change the x-axis. You change the x-axis or the x-coordinates, okay? Now, how does that happen? It means that we moved here and then like this. First we moved like this. You see that? Let me make it bigger. We move from here to here. And then we moved from here to here. Do you see that? So how do we describe this? We describe this using something called the translation vector. The translation vector, like this, vector. What is the translation vector? The translation vector is a coordinate that describes translation. How does it work? It works like this. First, let me move this. The translation vector is written like this. You write two brackets, you write what happened to x on top and what happened to y in the bottom. Now, what happened to x here, we moved from this point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points or 5 centimeters. So we write 5 in the x coordinate. Okay? And what happened to the y, we moved 1 here. So we write this in the y coordinate. So we moved 5x and 1y. Now, did we move in the x to the positive or the negative side? So we moved to which side? Very good. We moved from the negative to the positive. So this is a positive x, like this. And the y, what happened when we moved on the y-axis? We moved to the positive side. So we write positive next to the y. So, yes, this vector describes this translation. This is what happened to A and B, okay? That's it. Now, let's talk about the other question, okay? Let's talk about the other question. Now, in this question, or B, he told you what happened to shape B. How did shape B become C? How did shape B become C? Like that. Same thing. And he wants you to talk about translation only, okay? Here in the question, talk about translation only, okay? Don't say, no, it rotated or something else happened. He asked for translation. He wants you to describe the translation itself, okay? Now, what did happen to be that it translated to this place, right? And when you talk about translation, you have to talk about points. What happened to a certain point? Where did this point go? Or what way did it go to be here? This is the question. Let's do this together, okay? Now, when we talk about this point, it went How many centimeters? It went 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it went 1 to the side, right? So the 4 green lines or 4 green centimeters describe what? Describe the change in which axis? Is it the x-axis or the y-axis? Very good. It's the y-axis. So the green centimeters are a change in the y-axis. So we start writing the vector here. We start with opening a bracket. After opening a bracket, we have to put the x on top, the x-axis on top, like this, and then the y-axis in the bottom. What happened to y in the bottom? Now, the green centimeters are a change in the y-axis. Very good. So, how many are there? There are 4. So, we write 4 in the y. And then the purple line or the purple point was a change in the x-axis. So, we write how many centimeters in the x changed? 1. Very good. And then we describe the change. The green centimeters or the green lines, they were going to the negative side. They were going this side, right? So it's the negative side of the y. So we write negative next to the y. Very good. And then the purple one was going to the negative side of the x. So we write negative next to the x. Do you understand this? This is the explanation of or describing the translation that happened to the shapes. I hope you enjoy it. Just focus. Watch the video more than one time. You'll understand it more. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time, okay?